minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that? I gotta say, how about that? Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. All is good in the world as far as I'm concerned. I hope it is with you. Back on Game Plus Television today. Hour 2 will be coming your way on Game Plus and Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Podcast 1700 WQVZ. Want to say hey to our radio listeners that are tuned in. Hi. Tim Hunter coming up. The ageless Tim Hunter in Hour 2. Going to be joining us from Arizona, the 815-game NHL veteran with Calgary, Vancouver, Quebec, and San Jose. And we've got Scruffy with us from alum of Peace River Radio. They're calling you out already, Scruffy, for your antics in Peace River.
I see that.
Do you want to address it?
Well, there's I've been accused of taking a coworker's jacket and throwing it up in a tree.
in minus
on a
35
Saturday
degrees.
night about 2 a.m. But it was told it was 35 below, and that's wrong. It was about 15 below. There was a group of us. I think I was the one that ended up, getting the jacket at one point. I'm not sure if I was the one that tossed it. And
Okay.
And there were mitigating circumstances as to why this was done. So yeah,
Sure.
but
hijinks had by all. Anyways,
Exactly.
Scruffy's presence being felt in Alberta some 30 years later. Okay,
yes.
Here we go. Let's go, everybody. Quick 6 show topics. We're opening with the National Football League. The Houston Texans secured their first road playoff win in franchise history Monday night, beating the host Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6 in an NFL wild card game. The Texans held Pittsburgh to 175 yards of offense and scored a pair of defensive touchdowns in the fourth quarter. There's a lot to unpack with the game. There's a lot of fake news coming out of it. Now, I had the Steelers picked to win, and they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything. I'm trying to remember who you had picked to win that game last night.
I had Houston because I've got Houston going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. So beyond all that, I don't know how much sports coverage you've watched this morning. You said that you were busy this morning, so maybe you haven't been around the television or around your phone. But the narrative is, forget about the Texans. Because I've been on the phone, I've been talking to football guys, and for whatever reason, Mitch, it's like every year we tend to forget the defense wins championships. We fall in love with the fireworks of offenses and everything, but we forget come playoff time that it's defense that wins, primarily in football, but in other leagues too. So we can talk about the Texans for weeks ahead. And I don't know if they're going to win this upcoming week or not, whether at New England, I don't think that they will. But as far as the Steelers go, this is their first loss since 1991 on a Monday night at home. Mike Tomlin,
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
What?
This was not their first loss on a Monday night. This was their playoffs and regular season are two different things, Roddy. They were 23-0 at home on Monday Night Football, but this is playoff football. And what were they in playoff football? Their record's a little bit different when it comes to the playoffs the last few years. They've been beaten by double digits. They've been mollywopped, and it happened again last night.
Okay, so fair. That is actually feeding into where I wanted to go with this. And our poll question, which is brought to you daily by EMJ Marketing, is let's just talk about the Steelers for a second, because there are a lot of Steelers fans that watch this show. Coming back next year, the narrative already is Tomlin done? Is Aaron Rodgers done? Or will they both be brought back? Or will neither be brought back? And that is our poll question. Which of those options would you vote for 2026 for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Tomlin's back, Aaron Rodgers is back, both are back, or neither? I would need some convincing or be sold on where to vote on that, to be honest with you.
If you're making that vote today, it's very premature. Like, we need the body to cool off a little bit here. I know Aaron Rodgers last night, he stormed off for his post-game address because he got tired of answering the same question over and over again. Made me wonder if he was at a rider scrum. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah. You asking all the same tired questions.
Right now, there's a lot of pressure with the Steelers brass from the fan base to get rid of Tomlin and Rodgers.
Yeah.
When this team was winning down the stretch, people wanted Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a lot better football team this year than a lot of people thought with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback.
Where would they be without him?
He didn't look good last night, but when you take a look at the overall body of work, if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back, and I don't know if he will or not, because maybe it's his time. Maybe he decides it's time to go off in the sunset. But I think that Aaron Rodgers will be back if Mike Tomlin is the head coach.
Yeah, sure.
And there's a lot of...
Hang on. So on the flip side, we just condense the thoughts a little here. We're running out of time. But it's one of the things that he went off last night after the game was about the media now trying to fire everybody. And I got to talk about this after the first break because it comes fast. Our first segment is a quick one here in the warm-up, but thank you. We're only down to the 2-minute warning already here for the warm-up. But it's like, on one hand, anybody with a smartphone is a reporter, as you know, right? I think he called out Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, Aaron Rodgers is. But on the flip side, Black Monday, Mitch, the Atlanta Falcons fired their coach and GM before the night fell at the end of their last game. So you said the body needs to cool off a little bit or warm up or whatever, but the owners don't help themselves. So
but I guess the difference there, Roddy, is that the Atlanta Falcons, the Arizona Cardinals, the Vegas Raiders, they knew where their season was going. The Pittsburgh Steelers could have beaten the Houston Texans last night. The Pittsburgh Steelers, by hook or by crook, won their division. They got into the playoffs. So it's a different, here's the word again, it's a different narrative from playoff teams to teams that don't make the playoffs. And I have no idea what Steelers brass were thinking if we end up being a one and done. They certainly don't go out in the best way. But were you a playoff team? Yes. Were you expected to make the playoffs? No. So how do you take
Well, of course. So, and I'm not sure if you found out yet, but you were mentioning how Pat McAfee was going off on something yesterday at this exact time. I know what it was. If you don't yet, we will talk about that when we come back. Plus a lot of NHL, CFL winter meetings are on the go. Rick Bowness is back in the NHL. We got a lot to get to. We'll be right back. We're back live across Canada and 32 U.S. states today on the Game Plus television network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are back live on Game Plus Television, brought to you in part by our friends at Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Scruffy's with me. Trust me, we're going to come back to the football, but it's winter, and it's Tuesday, and the NHL is very exciting right now. Willie Nylander scored with 61 seconds to go in overtime, and the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Colorado Avalanche 4-3 Monday night in one of 9 NHL games. Evan Bouchard had 2 goals and a helper. Connor McDavid chipped in with 2 assists, and the visiting Edmonton Oilers beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-1, and Nikita Kucherov
Happy birthday to Connor McDavid.
Nikita Kucherov and Jake Gensel each had a goal and an assist, and the Tampa Bay Lightning won their 10th in a row with a 5-1 decision over the host Philadelphia Flyers. I'll get to the coach firing and the rest a little later on, but Mitch, I'm going to ask you this. Have the playoffs started now, or am I getting ahead of myself by saying that?
Oh, I think you're getting ahead of yourself, but if we were to have this conversation right after the Olympic break, I think we would be close to that, but the races are so tight. Like, with the exception of Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, after that, it's like flip everything up in the air. Like, I think, because I haven't looked at the standings this morning, but I think the Leafs are back in a playoff spot now, aren't they? As a wild card?
I don't know. Probably. This is the one thing that the hockey people that are watching will be nodding their heads, and sports people overall. Paul Maurice said last year, in the first half here in Florida, he goes, I don't even look at the standings until after Christmas. And most people would go, huh? Because it's not about what everybody else is doing. You know, it's about fine-tuning your own team.
Yep.
And at what point do you actually look? Like you when you say, if the Leafs are in, which I haven't looked at the standings either, but I would assume the Sabres came out, which, by the way, it was nice to watch a game last night in Buffalo with the rink full. It was a hell of a game. Panthers were there. And beat the Sabres 4-3. But the Sabres are relevant again. But one loss, and you're out of a playoff spot. Sam Reinhart actually said that after the game. He's like, you lose a couple in a row, the world's ending. You win a couple in a row, you're in first place.
Yep.
You know, so, yeah, no, I don't think the playoffs have started yet either. But I guess the question is, when do they? And Ken Holland was quoted way back, I want to say like mid-November. Now the general manager of the LA Kings saying it feels like the playoffs for them every night. Because if you're not going 10 out of 10 and redlining, you're going to lose. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but I think I just think that everything is different this year because it's an Olympic year. Because I think there are a lot of teams that they went, okay, we want to be at this point of the season. We want to be here when the Olympics start. And then we can, sit back as an organization and see what we want to do for the stretch run. And I think there are a lot of teams that are going to have that hard conversation, especially with the trade deadline coming, as to, are we going to try and make a run to try and just get to maybe one round of the playoffs? Or are we going to be sellers? And the Calgary Flames are a perfect example of that.
Oh, man. Those poor buggers. Well, they've done it to themselves, but Tim Hunter is going to be with us in hour 2 from Arizona, but the Flames, great Stanley Cup champion, will have some thoughts on this. So I wanted to wedge in the hockey talk. We'll come back on that because Rick Bowness replaced Dean Ephison in a move yesterday that literally came out of nowhere. Like Elliot Freeman actually
didn't
tweeted.
See that coming.
No, he's like, didn't see. That's exactly what Freeds tweeted. Didn't see this coming. Where were the insiders on that? First coach firing was Dean Evison in Columbus. And the one thing they were talking about on NHL radio this morning, which, by the way, we're in hockey no better than the football people. When I say, is it too much trying to fire people? Does this create the domino of other guys getting fired? That Evison was the first one. I think I mentioned yesterday that by this point last year, 5 coaches had been fired. Evison's the first.
Oh, really?
And it took until mid-January. But anyways, back to football for a sec. So the poll question is, who will be back in Pittsburgh next year? The Steelers were bounced last night 30-6. Didn't look good in round 1 of the playoffs for them on Monday Night Football. Will Aaron Rodgers be back? Will Mike Tomlin, the coach, be back? Will they both be back? Or will neither? From the audience, Jeff in Toronto writes in. He says it would also be in Tomlin's best interest to get a fresh start elsewhere. Jason in Red Deer says Tomlin should be back, I would think. He's never had a losing season. BW from Edmonton says, who would the Steelers get to replace Tomlin? The next head coach would be the fourth. And yeah, right. Rob in Las Vegas watching. He says the Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. John Lynch imitation. And Tony from Cochrane writes in, he says both will stay and take the AFC North again as the rest of the teams are in disarray, rebuilding, and or will have new coaches, that's the thing. They hosted a playoff game. They won the division. I don't think they should be talking about them being fired at all. But while we're on the football topic, and it's hour 1, which is, as you know, the Canadian version, I'll tell you, Pat McAfee ain't talking about the CFL. And Kornheiser and Wilbon aren't either. But I should pause for a second and tell you what McAfee, did you know what he was going off about? That it caught your attention?
I think he was going off about the woman in Jacksonville yesterday.
Yes, he was.
You know that Pat can go off on several topics.
Yeah, well, you didn't even want to talk about it. No, you didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, he brought up the Jacksonville woman, who also appeared on a Jacksonville radio or television station yesterday. His comments were interesting.
Let me just stop. Please stop. Let's just tell the viewers what the hell you're talking about. For those that don't know, because there are a lot that wouldn't. After the Jaguars playoff game on Sunday, Liam Cohen is giving his year-end news conference for the Jaguars, and this Lynn Jones is her name. Older black lady, as has been described, that's what she is, but has been described by everybody, just to make sure that I don't get canceled here, because nobody really knew, not those of us that watched the clip, who this was, speaking off camera. And she was like, now you don't hang your head now. I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, you had a great season and you Duvall and you did us all proud and you come back next year. And everybody's like, what? So anyways, it caught everybody off guard. We talked about it yesterday. You and I did. Yeah, I'm teasing you when you say you didn't want to talk about it, but it was like the biggest thing. So the only people that I could see that were really pissed off about it were the rumpled scribes, the grumpy newspaper writers. And that's what McAfee was going off about yesterday, saying you guys have all been exposed. You all hate the sport. You all hate the fact that sports brings people together. You guys hate sports. That's the deeper issue there.
Yeah, I can't buy that, but whatever.
You can't?
No,
well, I can't say that he's necessarily wrong.
Where I go on this, now I just happen to take a look and they're talking about what we're talking about Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. I go back, we're ahead of the curve, obviously. I just go back to what I said yesterday. There's a time and a place to ask that question. And I just don't think that was the time and the place. And Roddy,
it wasn't a question. It wasn't a question.
What's that?
It wasn't a question.
No, but I think that she could have done that in a different way.
It was an unsolicited pep talk.
Yeah,
which caught everybody off guard. That's what I would characterize it as.
I think if she'd have walked up to him, and it's funny because I brought this up last night. I was watching the football game with some buddies last night. Do you remember when some of the media in Regina did not like the fact that after a year-end news conference, I walked up to Danny Barrett and shook his hand and said, thank you for everything this year and for being, whatever. And I had members of the media go, why would you do that? It's a sign of respect. And it was funny because the next year, I did it again, and some of the people that criticized me were right behind me.
Do you want to name them?
So, as I said, I don't
I'll
think
take
there
that
was
as a
any
no.
problem.
Okay, I get it. No, you've said it. You've said your point on that. But my thing is, I'm with McAfee on these newspaper guys. Listen, they've been on my ass for years too. And I don't know if you saw the whole transcript of what he said, but he's like, these guys call me out and basically F them. And it's a personality thing. These are guys that can't deal with the fact.
Pat's got a grudge. Sorry, I see the sun's shining in on me here. Pat's got a grudge with the media.
Yeah, but they've been coming after him, though. Do you blame him?
Right, exactly. So Pat's got a grudge, and he's going to take that shot against them. And I understand that. But I don't think that there are writers that hate sports and hate the team they cover. I think that the writers are or they were, because they're not anymore, because now the team spreads the message. But I think that the writer is a conduit to the fans. If the team is doing well, and you know this, Rod, if the team's doing well, there's no real story there. Because the quarterback's going well, the coach is doing well, the team's winning. Yeah, there's a couple of questions you have. But if the team's losing, open up that Pandora's box and away we go. Because the fans want to know.
Well, but more than anything, so from the audience, Jeff in Toronto says Pat should stick to WWE. Rob in Las Vegas says we all need a pep talk occasionally. And this is my thing. Because those writers were so pissed off at her, I'm starting to swing over to her side because they all can't get with the fact that things change. You want to talk, if you want to talk about Rough Riders Media, I'll tell you another one. And you don't blurt out his name because you'll guess who it is. But you and I have never had this conversation. But this guy came up to me and said, you can take your blog and shove it up your ass. This is like when I started it way back I started in 06. It was like a year or two in. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I sit here and cover this team and people wait to get the newspaper the next day for our coverage at training camp. And you sit there and you write your blog. And as soon as the practice session's over, you hit send and it's there on the internet. Why would anybody buy a paper? And I'm like, it's not my problem. What are you mad at me for? You can do the same thing.
Yep.
What's stopping you from doing it? Uh-huh. These are the types. So that's why I have McAfee's back on this. Because they've been coming after me. Do you get mad at me because I'm kicking your ass for using the internet? Oh, my God. That's the issue of all of this. So if they're going to bring in this Lynn Jones from the Jacksonville Free Press and she wants to give the coach a pep talk, it's 2026. Times change, guys. That's how I see this. Do you see it as the same?
Nope, I don't. As I said, I think there's a time and a place for this, Rob.
You're more like those. You're like those old guys.
No, yeah. I'm not. I'm just saying that. You know what? If she wanted to do that after the scrum, the availability, walk up to Liam Cohen and say, "Hey, you don't have to hang your head about it." Nobody says a thing about it. And,
they don't allow you to do that anymore. I'm sorry.
And I understand that. And the NFL is completely different than the CFL. And you know in the room, Roddy, in the room that we can do our thing at a Rider game and Corey May stands up and we could all have like a little interaction with him. I've never been in an NFL coach's post-game scrum, so I don't know how that works. But it's different.
10 days ago, at the Winter Classic day before news conference, Paul Maurice brought up the 2019 Winter Classic in Regina, or the Heritage Classic in Regina.
Yep.
We came out of the news conference room, went into the dressing room. I went to bring. I'm like, hey, Paul, I almost got tasered. Okay. I'm not going to say the opportunity to have it one-on-one away from the mics doesn't exist anymore. And I say this facetiously because I've been treated unbelievably, as you know, by the NHL and Florida Panthers media staffs. But it's like you don't get that opportunity anymore. If you're going to give a pep talk, which I'm sorry, but there's a lot of comments that have come in on that. I'm going to get to right after the break. You got to give it in the venue that Lynn did. Because you don't have the chance to have a Danny Barrett Scruffy exchange like you did. Doesn't exist anymore. This ain't 2002. We'll be right back.
And I guess if I'm
we're on the Game Plus television network, YouTube live podcast, and 1700 WQVZ radio.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics, game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your Apple, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. And we're having so much fun with this. I'm about to put this to bed. The Jacksonville news reporter giving the unsolicited pep talk to the Jaguars coach after the game has just split the world, the NFL world. Scruffy, I'll give his last thoughts, and then we'll move on because people have thoughts on other things. But Bill writes in, he says, compliments and encouragement are always timely. Carlos writes in, he says, the old guard likes its status quo. Jeff in Toronto says, some sports writers, not you, Rod, but they can be the most grumpy people you ever met. They won't vote for a worthy Hall of Famer in MLB because they didn't smile during an interview. And Brent in Saskatoon says, I don't see anything wrong with Scruffy or anyone thanking a coach or player in the right time or place. So I'm ready to move on. If you have any last thoughts, I'm enjoying the debate. I hope you're not getting upset.
No, I'm not. That's what we're supposed to have fun with. I do find it interesting, though, that last night nobody gave a pep talk to Aaron Rodgers or Mike Tomlin. Oh, wait a minute. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette doesn't exist anymore, so there's no sports writer there to do that.
Yeah, topic for another day, but not surprising. Okay, people want to talk about the NHL coach firing, which we'll get to in a second, but point 3 is this. It's the Canadian Hour. News coming out of the CFL winter meetings in Calgary. I'm enjoying the coverage. Are you seeing Danny Machocha gave an interview to 3 Down Nation, the Montreal Alouettes general manager, saying that they've done their research and they're presenting their case to the owners about not adopting the rule changes. Because the coaches, he mentioned that they weren't consulted, which who's crankier than football coaches, man? Like none. I don't think you think newspaper writers are curmudgeonly. How about old football coaches? They were never going to consult you guys. I guess my question to you, Mitch, I don't know if you read any of the coverage, but Danny Machocha is saying they have a proposal, a counter proposal back to the owners about the rule changes. I'm like, do you actually think they're going to walk these back? Because I don't.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Thank you very much for the input. We'll get back to you.
Well, that was quick. What workplaces do
Danny Machocha, the coaches and the GMs, they're going to give this big hour-and-a-half presentation and expect Stuart Johnston and the board to go, oh, my God, you're right, we're canceling everything.
Well,
that's not going to happen. It's going to be like, okay, well, that was nice. Thank you.
It's no different than any other workplace.
Next topic on the agenda.
Well, and for us, for us, it'll be Dean Evison being fired. But I'll just say this. Do you remember when our old employer got rid of the broadcast news feed, the wire and the audio and everything? They got rid of it. You were there, right? And And I went into station management and I said, yeah, the guys and girls are upset in the newsroom that you guys got rid of broadcast news. So I'm representing them to you. And I don't like it either. He goes, so what? Tell them to work harder. Get out of my office.
Yeah.
True story. True story.
I don't.
So that's how things went there. Probably still do.
And buffoon several times, and it was just sort of like,
yeah. Okay. Point 4. The Columbus Blue Jackets have fired coach Dean Evison and named Rick Bowness as his replacement. Evison is the first NHL coach fired this season. General manager Don Waddell announced the abrupt change Monday with his team sitting in last place in the Eastern Conference, 45 games in. I will morph that into a text that's come in on the Western Dodge text line from Kelly, who is in the Queen City. And he says, morning, fellas, what's up with the NHL recycling Rick Bowness to coach again? God. Then he says, go Niners. Steelers, move on. Oh, yeah, Pete Carroll's available. Good day. Dude, you just argued with yourself. Pete Carroll is only a couple of years older than Rick Bowness. Like, I enjoyed Bruce Boudreau's analysis on this. He's flabbergasted by it, too. Everybody's flabbergasted by it.
Because nobody called him.
I'm sure he is. Because hockey coaches aren't real far off football coaches. Yeah.
You know what? Rick Bowness, and I haven't seen him on Hockey Night this year, but I have seen him on TNT doing stuff. And I think Rick Bowness is outstanding in the studio. And I thought Rick Bowness would stay in the studio. I thought Rick Bowness, for health reasons, was one of the reasons why he decided to leave the Jets.
That's what he said.
Why is he back? Like, I just don't know what the end game is there, because the Columbus Blue Jackets aren't going to the Stanley Cup anytime soon. Like, you have to think this is just a stopgap until next year.
Oh, I would think so. But the name Peter DeBoer came up, and I don't know how much you listen to NHL radio, but dagnabbit, oh my God, there's a reason that I'm addicted to these shows. If I can just pause for a second, Devin McCourty was on NBC Sports Radio this morning with Florio, and they were talking about last night's playoff game and how McCourty goes, listen, this is how we looked at it with the Patriots. Just get the ball back for Tom. Just get the ball back. If the offense isn't working, just keep getting the ball back, because eventually Tom is going to figure it out. And I'm like, oh my God, inject that in my veins. The leadership, right? And he goes, that's what the Texans were. Let's just keep getting the ball back. This is going to turn around. And it's so here with Rick Bowness or Peter DeBoer, how come nobody talks about Dave Tippett? Somebody brought his name up here yesterday. There's a lot of guys sitting around that could coach, and some are just, I'm done with it. And I believe that's where Tip is. I mean, would he answer a call? Probably. Mark Trestman's sitting down here in Naples, 90 miles from me. He wouldn't turn down a call either. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's saying, why is Bowness doing this? They just love coaching, Mitch. They don't see it as work, I don't think. I think coaching in Winnipeg might be work. You know, I'm like the pressure is insane. It's why Paul Maurice walked away. But I don't think the pressure in Columbus is quite the same as Winnipeg. I mean, I don't know either. I'm just spitballing here. I'm as caught off guard as everybody.
I don't think that the microscope shines as brightly in Columbus as it does in Winnipeg or as it does in Toronto. You know, if the Leafs got rid of Craig Berube and the call was made to Rick Bowness, I don't think he would take that job.
Probably not. No.
You know, I don't think Rick Bowness would take a job in Calgary. I don't think Rick Bowness would take a job in Vancouver. But he might take a job in Utah. He's obviously taken one in Columbus.
Oh,
and,
man.
You talk about Paul Maurice in Winnipeg. I love Paul Maurice. I think he's a great head coach. Always have, even though he's beaten my team the last 2 years. But the pressure on Paul Maurice intensifies now that they have done what they've done. When does that pressure become too much for Paul Maurice? Because it became too much for him in Winnipeg, where they didn't win. So now that he's won, that level of excellence is set, that bar is set. When does it start to become too much in Florida for him?
Well, it's not. Listen, I'm with them every day. They're pouring the statue for Paul Maurice right now. Trust me. It's not like he doesn't have some pressure, but the pressure to three-peat or you're going to be fired, not happening. Not here. No, he's already a god.
But what if they don't win this year and they don't make the playoffs for the next couple of years after that?
He just signed a new multi-year contract at $4 million a year. He's good. Matthew in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Bonus was great for the Jets. He's a big structure guy and likes to get the D involved in scoring. Oh, Mitch, I wish we had more time because what Boudreau was saying is like, he goes, Peter DeBoer would not take over a reclamation project. Peter DeBoer would take over the Leafs, a team that's close.
Yep.
That's like the coaches look at it differently. It's like the Cleveland Browns situation. A lot of people are saying, why would anybody go there? And I get it. But why would you want to coach the Browns? Well, there are some guys, some suckers that actually think they could turn them into a winner.
Yep.
That's just the way some guys think. They're not close. They're nowhere near close. They probably just fired the best coach they've ever had. You know, who's going to do better than Stefanski?
Forrest
got
Gregg.
him to the playoffs. Yeah, they got him. He got him to the playoffs twice in 6 years. Nobody else has been able to do that.
No, I know. No.
So, 902-518-3033 is the text line. We only got a minute. The last word is yours, Mitch. What do you got before I bid you adieu for the week?
Well, let's see. I probably won't be talking to you until next Monday, so we can talk about Miami, Indiana then. But I think that the Houston Texans are going to pull off an upset. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to pull off an upset. The road teams will win in the AFC. The home teams will win in the NFC. That's what my picks are for this weekend.
Can I write down who was your upset again? Buffalo will win?
The visitors will win the AFC game, so we're going to see Houston and Buffalo in the AFC Championship. We'll see Seattle and Chicago in the NFC Championship.
All right. Great job. Have a great scruffy day. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okie dokie. Welcome back, everybody. Scruffy's gone. It's just you and me. But holy smokes, was that fun with the old Scruff dog there for the opening 40 minutes. It was on fire. People really enjoy Scruffy's appearances on the program. And here's the other thing. People really hate Scruffy's appearances on the program. It's perfect. As Joe Rockhead says, he's just right for the party. Sports update on the way, but first, a junior hockey report for the Mad Greek. And thank you to everybody who has headed down to the Mad Greek and mentioned our name. Looking at you, Jim Ducote. Was just there last night. They bring you the junior hockey report every day. The Western Hockey League has announced Montreal Canadiens prospect and Medicine Hat Tigers defenseman Bryce Pickford's been named WHL Player of the Week. The 19-year-old from Chauvin, Alberta, registered 7 points and a +5 rating in 2 games this past week. Meanwhile, Victoria Royals netminder Ethan Eskett has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. The junior hockey report is for the Mad Greek. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Downtown Moose Jaw. 902-518-3033 is the text line. That's brought to you by Western Dodge. And let's just go through the text messages here, okay? Kirk in Toronto is watching on Game Plus TV, and he says, hey, Rod, forecast for Chicago this weekend is a bone-chilling 7 degrees Fahrenheit or -14 Celsius. Can the Rams from the other Sunshine State survive on the shores of Lake Michigan? Well, what did Scruffy say? Michigan, the home teams will win. I don't know if that it's about the weather, but it might be about the weather. Let's just remember Matthew Stafford did play in Detroit for a long time, and that is also a dome. I get that. It's not going to matter. I haven't looked up the point spreads, but the Bears will win. Like, it looks like they're going to the NFC Championship. And it's one thing where I wanted to spend some time on this with Scruffy, but we just got derailed, and that happens. That's fine. About the media. Like Aaron Rodgers, I didn't see the clip, but I read the clip. I didn't see the video of it, but he got pissed, I guess, after the game last night about all the conjecture about his future and Mike Tomlin's future. And it's like, I get pissed off hearing about Aaron Rodgers. He creates all that drama in the offseason. That's on him. On one hand, it's kind of the media's and fans' fault for stirring it up. But on the flip side, it's also the team's fault because over 25% of the coaches have been fired coming out of this NFL season. And look at Chicago, who, by the way, got rid of Justin Fields just last year, brought in Caleb Williams, fired their coach, Matt Eberflus, and the new coach in his first year, Ben Johnson, is taking his team to the NFC Conference Championship. Looks like he is. So, I mean, I don't know. That's why I watch Landman. It's far less confusing, which I did watch yesterday. Previously on Landman. Yeah, we're jumping around on all of our topics. I hope that's okay. I saw this. At my own caution, I surfed social media in the break, and did you know on this day in 1983, Saskatoon promoter Bill Hunter reached a deal with the owners of the St. Louis Blues to buy the Blues and move them to Saskatoon? In 1983 on this day. Oh, yeah. It was before you were even born, producer Corey, or a lot of our audience. But I remember it. We all thought the Blues were coming to Saskatoon. And my dad, we had a hat with the Blues logo. It was going to be the Saskatoon Blues. Saskatoon singing the blues, it said. And then the NHL blocked it. And I'm sorry to say, I guess I'm a little bit of a stick in the mud, but I'm not going down the road of, we should have a poll question. Will Saskatoon ever get an NHL team? Because the answer is no. And I love Saskatoon. Just got the numbers of our ratings in Saskatoon far higher than I thought they would be. The NHL ain't going to Saskatoon, so stop it. NHL figured it out in 1983. Some people still talking about it 40 plus years later. It's not happening. On this day in 1983, that was a thing. On the Rick Bowness stuff, and here's the thing, if you've never lived the life, you'll never understand, but Rob in Vegas writes in regarding Rick Bowness. He goes, I'm with Scruffy. Rick Bowness brings a unique perspective to any NHL broadcast. His insights are excellent. Yes, but these guys don't really want to be broadcasters. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure Don Cherry was ever fully comfortable in the role. He'd rather have been on the bench. We've had Don Cherry on this show. He's not doing any more interviews anymore, is what his son Tim has said. But if I had the chance now, I would ask Don Cherry that. Would you ever have liked to have gotten back into coaching? I can guarantee you the answer would be yes. Same thing with Rick Bowness. Don Waddell calls him the GM of the Blue Jackets. Hey, we're going to make a change. Are you in? Yeah, I'm in. But my point is, if you've never lived like that, Rick Bowness, from what I understand, is living not far from me here in South Florida, and Sportsnet was flying him in to do those panel shows, or even TNT is out of Atlanta. I was trying to get him on our Cats and Bolts podcast. Zing, 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 gone. Before you even know where he is, he's gone. Similar to Patrick Waugh. Same thing. Was here in South Florida. His agent's a close friend of mine. Like, let's get him on the air. Let's get him on Cats and Bolts. But boom, he's gone to the Islanders. What? These guys move fast. What do they say about sharks? While they don't sink, they keep swimming. Keep moving. That's the key. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and he says that the Saskatoon Blues would have gone the way of Quebec and Winnipeg. You're totally right. I mean, it would have been fun for a while, but it was just never going to happen. And you don't hear it brought up that much anymore, and thank God, because it was never going to happen. Laverne writes in from the Frontier City regarding our poll question, which is who will be back in Pittsburgh next year? Coach Mike Tomlin, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, both or neither? Laverne in the Frontier City writes in, he says, I think both will be done. Tomlin is 0-7 in the Steelers' last 7 playoff games, and Rodgers looked old last night. He did, but he looked great all year, and that is the question that the owners, the Rooney family, are going to have to figure out is how much more can they squeeze out of these guys? Because, again, they won the division and hosted a playoff game. That ain't easy to do. Not in that division. It's easy to do in the NFC South. Carolina. Sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. 10 games are on the NHL slate tonight, highlighted by an all-Canadian meeting in Ottawa. The Vancouver Canucks carry a 7-game skid into a matchup with the Senators, who have dropped 4 in a row, and what a mess it is in Ottawa. By the way, Tim Hunter will be our guest in hour 2. Vancouver Canucks alum. We will reluctantly ask him what the hell's going on with the Vancouver Canucks. We'll see what he says. He'll be joining us from Arizona. Winnipeg welcomes the New York Islanders. Calgary visits Columbus. That's a dub for the Blue Jackets. First game under Rick Bowness. You know that's going to happen. Washington entertains Montreal. Edmonton visits Nashville. And Utah hosts Toronto. The Toronto Raptors are off tonight and will visit the Indiana Pacers Wednesday after splitting a back-to-back set with Philadelphia. 7 games are on the NBA slate tonight, including a matchup of the top 2 teams in the West. Defending champion Oklahoma City hosts second place San Antonio. And I'm just throwing this in here. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments today on state laws that block transgender girls and women from school sports teams. The teams from Idaho and West Virginia center on whether those bans unfairly discriminate or are needed to protect girls and women's sports. A ruling is expected by early summer. Voice in my head saying, Rod, don't comment. So I won't. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? Swing by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca, where real fans get their gear. Which, by the way, what exactly are real fans? Have we ever figured that out? Real fans are the fans that stick by their team through thick and thin. Is it? I don't know. Kenny in Vancouver writes in and says, hey, Rod, good morning. Is Landman available to watch in Canada? I have done some research, and I think it's only a show in the United States of America. I would love to check it out. Do you know, Producer Corey, is Paramount Plus available in Canada? I think it is. I'm pretty sure I've watched it in Canada. Yes, it is. Paramount Plus. Pay the dough. It's funny because I'm an oil friend. He's got some shekels. And I talk to him about Landman all the time. Actually, yeah. He goes, I don't have Paramount Plus. I'm like, well, get off your wallet and get it. Yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Yeah, Producer Corey says, you have it. Well, you're a TV guy. You should. I've got everything as well. We should have a lot of things, exactly. Wayne in BC writes in, says, hey, Rod, I just finished watching season 2, episode 5 of Landman. I agree. It's a good series, and what I really enjoy about it is the humor integrated into the drama. Well, how about that? I just like Ali Larder. Let's not get too deep into this. I like Landman even better than Yellowstone. I think we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? I've got oil friends that say it's exactly like the oil patch, exactly like it, Landman. Then I've got oil friends that say it's way too far-fetched. I can tell you Yellowstone is not where I grew up, which is that thing. But it's TV. Oh, boy, here we go. Here we go. Now, I'm not commenting on the transgender sports thing, and I think it would be best if I don't read the viewers' comments on it either. Let's just not start a holy war. Jeff in Toronto says, Paramount has a lot of soccer. It's worth a few bucks a month for me. I have it for Tulsa King and Landman, and that's all. As you are probably aware, I am not paying it for soccer. That is a Texas 10-4. Okay. We'll continue more of whatever this is when we come back in hour 2, and Tim Hunter will be with us. 815 games in the big show. When we go live across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network, and stay on our overlords, Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Back at it for another hour of Infecting Your Minds, otherwise known as the RP Show. We welcome our viewers across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, and we thank those who've stuck with us coming out of Hour 1 into Hour 2 on Game Plus TV, where we are live across Canada and 32 U.S. states. I'm very excited to welcome to the program Tim Hunter in the next segment. He'll be joining us from Arizona, where he's got a golf game scheduled. The Calgary Flames great Vancouver Canucks alum, and he also suited up with the Quebec Nordiques and San Jose Sharks. Tim Hunter coming up in the next segment, which we have a lot to get to with him. But we're going to open with football and a review of the latest episode of Landman if you're down, because that has a lot of people commenting here today. But it's a sports show, dag nabbit. And the Houston Texans secured their first road playoff win in franchise history Monday night, beating the host Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6 in NFL wildcard play Monday night. The Texans held Pittsburgh to 175 yards of offense and scored a pair of defensive touchdowns in the fourth quarter. We call that in the game complimentary football. Houston stretched its winning streak to 10 games and advances to play the New England Patriots in the division round. We've got a rest of the week to talk about those games, the upcoming divisional round games. Let's talk about the Steelers, because everybody is. And frankly, there was a time they were America's team. They're not anymore. But Pittsburgh and head coach Mike Tomlin have now dropped 7 straight playoff games. And with that, Tomlin ties former Bengals coach Marvin Lewis for the longest postseason losing skid in NFL history. And you know what happened to Marvin Lewis, right? So, kind of enjoying the commentary, the conjecture. It's a little out of control right now, quite frankly, with what's going on across the continent. Let's save the world. I'm not sure they're talking about it, the NFL in Russia. Maybe, I don't know. But on this continent, that's what they're talking about, the NFL playoffs and the futures of various coaches and so forth. So the narrative, of course, is, you must have heard it, will Aaron Rodgers be back? He's 42 now, quarterback of the Steelers. Will Mike Tomlin be back? That's our poll question today. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. The question is, who will be back with Pittsburgh next season? Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, both or neither? And leading the poll as we sit here today, neither. That's leading it. But when I say I'm enjoying this, I didn't enjoy the game last night. It was a snoozer. And I spent more time, frankly, watching the NHL game, Florida Panthers at Buffalo Sabres, and we'll get more into that here in this segment. But, man, dag nabbit, I'm just enjoying the fallout. Like Aaron Rodgers after the game, flipping out. Again, I read the quotes. I didn't see the video of it. But he blamed Twitter, he blamed social media for stirring it up about their futures. And the thing is, in about 3-4 months' time, Aaron Rodgers will be using social media to stir everybody up. He seems like the kind of guy that when everybody else does it, it's not okay. But when he does it, it is okay. I've never met him. I'm just passing judgment, which is what narrow minds do. And it's a bit of a bigger discussion here. But can you blame the fans and the media for stirring it up and talking about guys' future when you've got the owners firing over 25% of the head coaches just in the last week since the regular season ended? Or, Brian Callahan during the year, the Giants who made coaching changes midseason. But you know what I'm saying. Can't really blame the fans and the media for asking about your future when guys are getting tossed overboard left and right. So I guess I needed to think about this for a little bit. Steelers aren't my team. But I guess my question or my suggestion would be to bring them both back. I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers looked old last night, as one of the viewers said. There's no doubt. But this is a Texans team where we can talk about this for a second. Best defense in the NFL. We won't be talking about this with Tim Hunter when he joins us next segment. It's going to be all hockey. So we'll get the football out right here, right now. And I don't know why it is. It sucked me into I'm part of everybody else that we get so hooked on the offensive numbers, and we forget come playoff time that it's defense that wins. Always. Especially in football, but in a lot of other sports too. And, yeah, I'm going to get upset if I talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So just a couple of quick things. Podcasts like this one are where it's at, and that ostensibly is what we are. Yes, we're on television, we're on radio, live streaming and podcast form, but really we are a podcast. I'd have to look up what that even means because I don't even know. I've been doing this so long. But that's where you get the truth. I think Pat McAfee is a podcast. That's where he started out. That's where I'm going with this. And McAfee was freaking out, going off yesterday about basically the writers, because they're not newspaper writers per se anymore. They're like online columnists and writers. And they're all mad at the older black lady, Lynn Jones in Jacksonville, after the Jaguars game on Sunday, giving the unsolicited pep talk to Liam Cohen. And anyway, McAfee aside, he is a truth sayer, All I will say about the Lynn Jones thing is I'm swaying over to her side because I'm kind of with Pat McAfee. These old writers, or even young writers that have a old mentality, i.e. they don't like change, just can't accept that that's where we are in the world as far as media goes. So I'm kind of with the lady. And to be honest, I probably should have had that as a poll question today. If you'd known who Lynn Jones was, I could have said it was the female Jacksonville reporter in the right by encouraging Liam Cohen after a tough playoff loss Sunday. I have a sense that the majority of you would have said she is, because a lot of the viewers have written in here like Rob in Las Vegas, Bill in the Queen City. These viewers saying a pep talk never hurts. Encouraging words sometimes go a long way. Glenn Campbell sang it. Why don't you try a little kindness? That's what she was doing. You go, Lynn. And as far as the writers go, get with the program. World's changed, guys. Get on board or get out of the way. That's kind of where it is. And as far as the truth saying goes, Shannon Sharp gets toasted by ESPN because eventually we all do. And he starts a podcast, which eventually we all do. And all of a sudden Shannon Sharp's on there just spitting fire, shooting from the hip, saying it the way that it is. And this kind of got me upset yesterday because clickbait. I was reading an article on McAfee, and this came up. Shannon Sharp says, this is the reason why Troy Aikman will never be hired in an advisory role with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, oh, this should be good. Click on it. And what we all knew as Cowboys fans, Jerry Jones doesn't want to share the spotlight. So the Miami Dolphins are humble enough to call Troy Aikman and say, hey, look, what we're doing isn't working. What do you see? Can you come in and advise us on our next general manager and head coach hire? And for that matter, quarterback. Aikman's like, sure. Should be happen Dallas, right? Greatest quarterback they ever had? No. Because Jerry Jones won't share the spotlight. I'll stop there because I'm going to get worked up, and I've actually successfully brought my blood pressure down. I don't care to change that. Anyways, on the topic of Aaron Rodgers, Jeff in Toronto writes, and he says, Rodgers going out like Brett Favre with a pick 6 to end their career. I'd be shocked if Aaron Rodgers isn't back, to be honest with you. Well, look, if it's up to him, you don't want your last game to end like that. Brett Favre, nobody was offering him a deal. My guess is Pittsburgh, if Aaron Rodgers wants to be back, he'll be back. How about that? Let's put it that way. Oh, and Jerry Jones, Landman. We were just talking about last hour about the latest episode of the, what should I say, the Paramount Plus series that is taking the world by storm. Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton and Ali Larter. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, bit of a shocker and cliffhanger last episode. Right? It got real dark. I was like, no, why are we doing this? Can't we just have Billy Bob Thornton saying funny things and Ali Larter gyrating in a bikini? That's enough. Wait, why do we got to go dark? But they did. Yeah, now you got to watch it, right? Jeff the Stamps fan says Jerry Jones would rather lose than give up the spotlight, which again, right? So again, when I talked about last hour, what's a real fan? I'm still a real fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I think I cheer for them, but I'm not allowing what they do affect my inner peace. Dag nabbit, it works. Our NFL picks weekly are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Weyburn, Pump Jack's Cathedral. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. In the National Hockey League Monday, there were 9 games. I went 5 of 9 in picks. Not great, but could have been worse. Still on the money. William Nylander scored 61 with 61 seconds to go, and the visiting Maple Leafs beat the Colorado Avalanche 4-3. That snapped the Avs' 17-game home win streak. Like, come on. If there was ever money in the bank, it was the Avs beating the Leafs at home. Nope. Evan Bouchard had 2 goals and an assist. Connor McDavid on his birthday chipped in with a couple assists. And the visiting Edmonton Oilers beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-1. And Nikita Kucherov and Jake Gensel each had a goal and an assist, and the Tampa Bay Lightning won their 10th in a row, beating Philly 5-1. Last hour, Scruffy was with us, and I said, Had the playoffs started now? Somewhat facetiously. And Scruffy's like, no, they haven't. But a good point to look at is probably as soon as play resumes after the Olympics is when the playoffs will have reasonably started. The game I was watching last night was out of Buffalo. Full house at KeyBank Center, which was great to see. And it was great to see the Florida Panthers go in there and win in the Moeller Bowl. Randy Moeller played for both the Florida Panthers and Buffalo Sabres and was on the television broadcast last night. Where am I going with this? Sam Reinhart, after the game, just talked about how tight it is in the standings. He's like, you lose a couple in a row, it's the end of the world. You win a couple in a row, you're in first place. What's going on here? The winners, the fans. The NHL loves it, and I'm guessing the sports books are making a hell of a lot of money because it's really, really hard to predict. By the way, does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. Basically, don't wait for a crisis to craft a communication strategy. Tony can do it for you, and he can do it now. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Point 3, I'll dip in on this because we're just trying to get through all the topics of the day. That's what we do here. Number 10, Miami needs everything at its disposal to slow down number 1 Indiana's high-scoring offense in next Monday's college football playoff championship. The good news is that the Hurricanes' defense should be at or near full strength. Coach Mario Cristobal told reporters Monday he expects D lineman Akeem Mesidor and Ahmad Moton, as well as cornerback O.J. Frederick, to be ready to play in next week's title game. The biggest news two things coming out of that. It is next Monday night. Miami Hurricanes, first team in college football history to play for the Natty in their own stadium, as if that isn't exciting enough. They're 10th ranked going into the game. They're playing number 1 Indiana, who's quarterbacked by a Miami kid, Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. Like, everybody's salivating about it. I told you, if you go to my personal Instagram, at Rod Pedersen Official, you'll see a photo of downtown Miami where at night the high-rises are adorned, the lights are lit up in the U. Everybody's going nuts about this. And the talk in the gym sauna this morning was, amongst the guys, was the ticket prices. We were all kind of, when it was $2,500 for the cheapest ticket a month ago, now that the Canes are in it, it's $3,700 for the cheapest ticket, ranging up to $20,000 to sit in the lower bowl midfield. And because you didn't ask, but I'll tell you anyways, what the guys are saying, they're like, oh man, we thought $11,000 for the Stanley Cup final was a lot. We don't even like hockey. This is the Hurricanes, college football. Yeah, $20,000. Some suckers are going to pay it. And the other news coming out of that game is that the Florida Panthers are home that exact same night, 7 p.m., or it was 7 p.m. start against the San Jose Sharks, but they've moved it to 6. So, yeah, not like I was ever going to pay a dime to go to the College Football National Championship, but I will be at the arena in Sunrise watching Macklin Celebrini. Oh, my God, these kids. That's one of the things we'll talk about with Tim Hunter coming back in the next segment. What Macklin Celebrini's doing what he's doing. He's doing scoring exploits that only the likes of Sidney Crosby and Wayne Gretzky did as teens. And then you got Matthew Schaefer over there with the Islanders doing things that haven't been done since Bobby Orr. And he's only 18. Point 4, the Columbus Blue Jackets have fired coach Dean Evason and named Rick Bowness as his replacement. Evason's the first NHL coach fired this season. GM Don Waddell announced the abrupt change Monday with his team sitting in last place in the East. We'll be getting into that with Tim Hunter next. The boys on NHL radio this morning were asking, will this tip off the dominoes for more coach firings in the NHL? I mean, it's just, you got to consider the source. I love Bruce Boudreau, but he was like, what's a firing now going to do? Well, he's a coach. He's not angling for a job. He's speaking on behalf of the coaching brethren. Let's not fire anybody else. I would be shocked if there was only one coach fired all year. Last year, by this point, there were, I think there was 5. Anyway, I'm sure it was. Anyways, Tim Hunter knows a lot about this. He knows a lot about a lot of things. The 815-game NHL veteran and Stanley Cup champion will join us from the Valley of the Sun when we come back. We're broadcasting across the state of Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. So hello, Vegas and Nevada. And we're broadcasting across Canada and 32 U.S. states on Game Plus TV, YouTube, podcast, and WQVZ radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, have you signed up yet for the free Rod Squad newsletter? You can at rodpedersen.com. It's brought to you every Sunday by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Well, shiny Tim Hunter joins us from the Valley of the Sun. 815 NHL games with Calgary, Vancouver, Quebec, and San Jose. Won a Stanley Cup with Calgary. Went to the Stanley Cup with Vancouver. How is the Valley today, Tim?
Beautiful day. It's going to be 72 Fahrenheit, sunny. It was a little breezy yesterday, but we golf Tuesday, Thursdays here. 1 o'clock shotgun, so I'm looking forward to that in about an hour and some change.
I love it. Well, hit them straight today, Tim. The viewers have a lot of great questions. Frankly, they're far better than my questions, and I'll get to those in a second. But I'm going to jump right into the coach firing yesterday. When Elliot Friedman says this caught him off guard, Dean Evison replaced by Rick Bowness in Columbus. I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Well, Columbus is last in the East, so if you didn't see it coming, I don't know what, what's your take on things. You hate to see coaches get fired, but you sign up for it. And the age-old things are the room needs another voice. They've lost the coach. The coach has lost the room, blah, blah, blah. But when you're not winning, and a team like Columbus has been tried to be built to win and make the playoffs, and right now they're not looking like they're making the playoffs, but and I heard your comments about Bruce Boudreau saying, well, what's a coach change going to do? Well, there's been lots of situations where coaches have been changed and it's led to great success. I mean, my favorite one was Dan Bylsma going into Pittsburgh a number of years ago and winning the Stanley Cup with that team after them firing their coach right about now. So, it does work. You hate to see these guys lose their jobs. I feel for the other guys that don't get mentioned. I know they did fire one assistant coach, but every team has 2 or 3 assistant coaches, a video coach, and most of these guys are brought in by the head coach, sometimes by the manager or the previous manager. And those guys all have kids and families, and it's tough to be uprooted and fired in the middle of the year. And, I particularly know one of the assistant coaches there, Scott Ford. He's done a great job with the defense. He's got Denton Matejchuk there, and he's done fantastic developing him. He did a great job in the minors in Milwaukee with Nashville. So I hope he sticks around because he's a good hockey man and he deserves it. Rick Bowness he's a compassionate guy. He's been through all that before, being fired. He knows going in there, there's guys that have jobs to do, and he's got to straighten the ship around. And it's another voice. Rick's been at coaching for a long time because he doesn't have one way to run a team. He's got multiple ways to send his message and address the team and address situations. And that's called I would just say very dynamic person because he's been around so long. The yelling and screaming and the high energy guy is not always the case. You got to be a little bit of everything. A Swiss Army knife coach where you can be compassionate, you can be kind, you can be gentle, you can be hard, yet always tell the truth, and your players trust you and your players believe in you and they believe the word you're telling them. So I know Rick has all of those, and that's why he's been coaching so long.
Well, through that whole wonderful answer there, you brushed on a few teams, and I think one of those was the Leafs, who fired Mark Savard a while back. And Kirk is watching in Toronto. He writes in, he says, Rod, the Leafs are on a heater. Their goaltending is very good, no matter who Berube puts in. I'm like, oh, my God, these guys had them all fired 6 weeks ago. What's going on with the Leafs? Who's the real Leafs right now?
Well, they were a team that was good. I mean, they lost Marner. You never replace those points. Not even with 2 or 3 guys. So they weren't going to be the same, but they looked like a team that was a little bit lost. And the power play. Well, the guy that ran the power play there he ran the power play in Calgary, and Calgary's power play was terrible. So I don't know how that all works, but to get a job in Toronto running the power play, and he couldn't run the power play in Calgary, that's just my take on it. I've been fired for when we were in Toronto. It all started to change in the late 90s and early 2000s. The managers wanted to pin and tell everyone that guy's running the power play, he's running the penalty killing. And before it was just we were all running everything. We'd have a general meeting, throw everything by the coach and his other assistant coaches, and then you would address your meeting with your power play group. And most of the time, the coach and the assistant coaches were watching. So it wasn't one guy really running the power play. When I was in Toronto with Ron Wilson, all of a sudden, Burke and Nonis decided, well, we're going to have Tim Hunter run the penalty killing, Keith Acton run the power play. The next year, they switched. Tim Hunter's run the power play, Keith Keith Axon running the penalty kill. So, it was, like all of a sudden we're this, and Ron's like, we all run the power play and the penalty kill. It's not Tim Hunter or Keith Acton, but so that's kind of a new animal in the NHL, and it bores to, them firing Savard because the power play wasn't producing. And so that's the new animal and the new way of doing things. It's, it's like when they sit a player out, we're not sitting him out. We're going to give him a reset. It's just a change of language and a little kinder, gentler way of telling the guy he's not playing tonight.
Well, and you mentioned Boudreau. You coached with him, did you not?
I never worked with Bruce. Did not work with Bruce.
I thought in Washington you'd crossed because
No, he came well after us in Washington because there was Ron, then there was Glenn Hanlon, then there was Bruce Cassidy, and then Bruce Boudreau. So miss Bruce, but Bruce has been a good coach. He's another guy that has lots of ways to skin a cat. The way he attacks coaching, and that's why he coached for a long time and had lots of success in the minors and had some good teams in the NHL as well.
I'm going to try to get to these viewer questions, but I haven't seen you for a while, so I got a few for you myself. And everybody wants to know your take on the Flames. Just that terrible start, and they got hot, and now I don't really know what they are. Where are they going? And what would you like to see them do?
Well, that's a great question. They're either going to make the playoffs and really look like they're going to make the playoffs, or try to get a top 3, top 5 pick. They haven't had a top 5 pick since they had Sam Bennett, and we know what kind of player he is, but he's not in the Flames anymore. You get the pleasure of seeing him a lot down there, and that must be fun because he's a competitor. But no, so you look at all the teams that have success over the years that win Stanley Cups. They all have tanked it at some point and got top picks. Whether it's 1, 2, or 3, Florida, Ekblad, whoever else they got. They probably have another couple top 5 picks on their team or more. Even when we won the Stanley Cup in Calgary, we didn't have our own first overall pick, but we traded for Rob Ramage, who was a first overall pick. Edmonton with McDavid, and the guys they picked in Chicago, Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux, first overall pick. So if you can pick high, you have a good chance of getting a great player. Celebrini, the latest, greatest, and Bedard, these guys. That's me. I know it's hard to do that in the NHL, to try to, tank or slow things down so you don't win as much. But it sure leads to success. And, Calgary's kind of middle of the road here. They've won some games. They're just not winning at a high enough winning percentage to get in the playoffs. So what's it going to be? Are you going to, at some point, the older guys they have there, Coleman, Kadri, and Anderson, they're going to need new homes. And where that's going to be and when that's going to be, will be the question of what Calgary finishes the season like. And that's, who knows? That's Craig Conroy and his group. And, those guys, I know they have a plan, and they've done a great job, and I'm sure they're going to end up doing this the right way. However it is going to be, that's a great question.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm with you. Like, you're not going to get 2 better guys than Craig Conroy and Ryan Huska. So I know it's hard to push patience in Calgary. I know that. But there's no better 2 guys than that. Okay? So be patient. Oh, and by the way, go ahead. Are you going to say something?
No, you're right. And but at the end of the day, the owners want bums in the seats, and they want the fans, what the fans want is they want a direction. They really saw when Conroy and Huska started taking over, and they're really bringing in the young guys and playing them and developing them. And the next, Perek will be in soon and blah, blah, blah. They like that. So you got to keep giving them direction, and you're selling them something, hope. And what is the hope? Mm-hmm. The hope that we're barely going to make the playoffs, and we're going to pick 10th, 12th, 14th, 13th, 9th, anywhere but where, maybe Gavin McKenna or the Verhoff kid is, would sure be nice to have one of those young guys to go in a new building in Calgary with and build a team around, and with all the other young players that Calgary has right now.
Yeah, well, that's the rub. Good luck getting Ryan Huska to tank. And number 2, speaking of high picks, Theron Fleury in his 1,088 points would like a word with you. He's still pissed off about going in the 8th round. He's still mad about that, which you probably know. And what?
Amazing pick. I mean,
that's a freak.
You look at that,
that's a freak.
You look at that team, and Ian McKenzie had to beg Cliff to pick him because he was small and this and that. But the heart of a lion and the bigger balls than most guys, 6'2", I'll tell you that. And yeah, but lots of guys 3rd rounds, 4th rounds. I'm sure even Lube and those guys were picked down the line. I don't even know where Joey Mullen was picked with St. Louis, but I don't think he was a top pick. Then all the college free agents that we signed. That was a new way of bringing experienced guys into the NHL and speeding up the process of developing a team with all these older guys that had played a couple years in college and were mature, more mature than an 18, 19-year-old coming out of the Western Hockey League or the CHL.
Never gets old talking about it, does it?
No.
Joe Nieuwendyk, 22nd round, 27th overall in the 85 NHL entry draft. Oh, and by the way, the last time I saw you was Theo's golf tournament, and oh my God, were you funny. That was the funniest I've ever seen. Did you have as good a time as everybody in the crowd? Mike, that was so fantastic that day.
It was great, and I hope he does it again, and I'll be there. It's great work he does in the community. It was fun. Yeah, I mean, you're a great moderator with those questions. You bring out the best of all of us. Just the right way to ask the questions and help prolificate all the answers.
Yeah, I didn't do anything, but thank you for saying it. Laverne in Swift Current has a good one. He says, so if Braden Point's injury is long-term, does Team Canada's Olympic team go with Sam Bennett or Connor Bedard or other? I think the two are on the injury list, like the replacement list. Who do you replace Point with?
Yeah, good question. I saw that last night. And, on a team, when you're picking these teams and you look at the history of them, the people you want are leaders and captain, or leaders and centermen, because centermen can play anywhere. They're the smartest guys on the ice because they play in the middle. They got to pass the puck both directions. They got to play it at both ends low. So they're the smartest guys. So the more centermen you have, the better you are, because you always have two guys out there that can take a face off at all times, not a center and two wingers. So you always load up. That's why Celebrini's on the team and Bedard is not. I'm not saying one's better than the other. So if Bedard or Bennett's to go, who are you going to pick between the two? It's a good question. Who's the better centerman in my mind? And I know Bedard's been hurt and he's playing now, and they played him on wing the other day. So can he take faceoffs? He's a hell of a player. You're splitting hairs between Pick and Celebrini and Bedard and Bennett, and now you're going to split hairs between Pick and Bedard and Bennett. So
Bennett, yeah.
Good luck making that decision. These guys do a great job when they go into the meetings, and but people go, well, why did Cirelli get on the team and not Bennett? Well, Bennett doesn't play for John Cooper, right? So
that's an easy one.
That's an easy one. All my buddies are going, Tim, come on, Sam Bennett, the playoffs and Stanley Cups. Well, Celebrini's won Stanley Cups too, but he doesn't play for John Cooper. John knows and he knows his demeanor. He knows everything about him. And being around Bennett during the Four Nations was probably great, and he got to know him even better. So, you always go with the guys that you're familiar with, and the guys that can go to the well and do the exact thing you want. So, it's you could debate this stuff all day long because it's very interesting. And what a great thing to have guys that are great players that aren't good enough to make a great team.
Rob is watching in Las Vegas. He wants to know, Tim, do you see the hiring of Rick Bowness as anything but interim?
Good question. I don't think Rick really wants to coach long term. I think Rick's almost 70. He might be
71. I read 71. I heard.
Yeah, there you go. I played against Rick Bowness in the minors in Tulsa, and I beat up Jimmy Mann one night, and then I fought Rick Bowness. And John Brophy came in the dressing room. He said, "Hunter, you gutless puke. When are you going to do something for us?" And I'm like, "What?" Well, it was, more on the other guys, and they all said, "Hunts, you've done your job. It's us that hasn't done our job." But Rick is, the only thing Rick's missing is winning a Stanley Cup as a head coach, and that's his goal. Now, I don't know if he's going to do that in Columbus, but I can't see him being there a long time. I think it's to get through the season, hopefully get him in the playoffs or make a good push, because Columbus is the same as everyone else. They're trying to keep bums in the seats and keep the fans interested, and that's probably their main reason here, unless they're going to tank it because they're close to the bottom and they can. So who knows?
Okay, we only got a couple minutes left. I'm so upset there's no NHL hockey in Arizona. I would assume your buddies and the people you're with every day aren't over it, I wouldn't think.
No, it's disappointing, and it's a big market, and they've just had the wrong people, the wrong ownership, the wrong locations. And we all know the guys that are around here, Shane Doan is part of a group that's trying to bring the team back. And I've talked to him about it. I've been at golf tournaments and yacked about it. And he says, "Tim, we need a team back here, and we need it in the middle, in Phoenix, in Tempe, in between, because all the people are in the middle: Scottsdale, Phoenix, Tempe, Gilbert, Chandler. Over on the east side, where we are in Mesa, there's not a lot of people, and on the west side and in Glendale, the same thing. They're just retirement communities and industrial. You need it right in the middle. So to build a team, put an arena downtown Phoenix, redo the basketball rink, or put a new rink in, have the basketball team and the hockey team would be the answer, or move it just a little bit south into Tempe. Lots of land there. It's just the wrong politics, the wrong owners, and I think they'll come back. It's going to be expensive, probably going to be $2 billion by the time they get a team back here to put a team in the NHL, which I know all the NHL owners are going to like.
That's where they're making their money. Absolutely. But it's just, everybody wants to have this narrative that Arizona failed the NHL. No. The NHL failed Arizona. And some people won't like that, but that's what happened. There's good sports fans there, but the teams suck forever. I talk to them. They're like, "Why would we go watch this team? We never make the playoffs." I totally get it. All right, Tim, hit him straight. We're out of time. Thanks for this, my friend. Chat soon. Oh, he's gone. Tim Hunter, 815 NHL games. We'll be right back after this.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As we broadcast across the Great White North of Canada and 32 U.S. states on Game Plus TV and across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, I love that they really love the hockey stories, and the hockey guests we get are so great. That was just a fantastic hockey chat with Tim Hunter right there. If you don't like that, you don't like hockey. And I got Theron Fleury's profile up on my computer here right now because it reminds me of, I love Calgary. I can say it. Love my time in Calgary. And this summer, we did some shows there and Theron Fleury's golf tournament, as I said. And then my dad was inducted into the Western Canadian Hockey Scouts Hall of Fame. And as I was headed to that in Okotoks, I was with Theron. This is what made me think of it. I was with Theron Fleury. 1,084 NHL games played, 1,088 points. Theron Fleury. And he goes, "You're going to see those scouts?" I said, "Yeah, about 400 of them." And the Okotoks rink, he goes, "You asked them why they all passed on me and why I went 166th overall to the Flames in the 8th round." I'm like, whoa. It was like fire coming off Theo. But as Tim said, bigger balls than most guys, 6'2". Theron, 5'6". I remember going to his mansion, and it is a mansion, Theron's in Southeast Calgary. Him opening these 10-foot doors, and I was like, he goes, "Oh, I didn't spend it all." Okay. Oh, Snowman checking in from India. Hey, Snowman checking. Hey, Snowman, can you send me the link for the interview we're doing this afternoon in about an hour and 17 minutes time, please? However you do, whatever means, I guess Facebook, please send me the link as I go on his show, Snowman in the Morning, later on today. Yes, we're recording it. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Sports update time for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin called it a disappointing end to his team's season after Pittsburgh lost 30-6 to the Houston Texans in an AFC wildcard playoff game Monday night. But Tomlin declined to talk about his future or whether he'll be back for a 20th season in Pittsburgh. It was the 7th straight playoff loss for Tomlin and the Steelers. And apparently, Aaron Rodgers snapped or barked at the media after the game last night about tired of fielding the questions about their future. And listen, I'm kind of okay that I'm going back and forth on this. Who's right? Is it the media and the fans for digging at Tomlin and Rodgers? Are they in the wrong, the media and the fans, or are they in the right? because the owners are so fire happy, trigger happy with firing the coaches. I think it's the world we live in. But the poll question is for EMJ Marketing, who will be back in Pittsburgh next year? Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, both, or neither. And leading the poll is neither. Don't tell Scruffy, but he made a lot of sense last hour when he said, can we just wait for the body to cool off here? They just lost last night. Not everybody's willing to do that in today's sports world, particularly NFL owners. Well, look at Harbaugh in Baltimore, for instance. 18 years, 15th winningest coach of all time, Super Bowl winner. It's a pretty similar resume to Mike Tomlin's. He got fired. It's not an unreasonable question, I guess. Aaron Rodgers needs to deal with it. The week of the Super Bowl in San Francisco features 2 marquee flag football games. This is just another way to gain more exposure in the lead up to flag football's Olympic debut at the 2028 LA Games. First, NFL players will participate in a game on February 3rd during the Pro Bowl festivities. And then Team USA faces Mexico in an exhibition match 2 days later. Last time they played, I called it in Charlotte, North Carolina on the Olympic Network. That was something else. USA Football will select and train the men's and women's teams ahead of the Olympics. Sports update is for the Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Rough Riders, Blue Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it, they've got it. If they don't have it, you don't need it. Rep your team loud and proud with Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. It's where I get all my stuff. Okay, overtime is next. Got to get our NHL picks and whatever you would like to talk about. Coming right back, 902-518-3033 or the YouTube chat. If you're watching streaming, please go down, like, and share. It helps us out a great deal. We are, though, live on television, Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote,
We partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Tim Hunter is a big proponent of that place. I know that. It is where skill and fun collide. An amusement park for hockey players. You can find them at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Perfect place for team bonding sessions. So if you're in the Calgary area looking for something to do with your club of any age range, give Randy and Michelle a call and tell them the RP Show sent you. They are, of this show, our longest ranging sponsor, and I thank the viewers for that because you've been helping them out. A lot of points that I could get to here. As I said, it's the last segment. 902-518-3033. Tony from Cochrane. Thank you, Tony, for hanging in. He writes in, he says, it's never right to jump on a player or coach right after losing if they will be back. Give them a break. And as Rogers said, he won't make an emotional decision. I couldn't agree with you more, Tony, but that's the problem with the world that we live in now, because I've been in those reporters' shoes. They're sitting there going, this is our last chance to talk to these guys. It's the last game of the season. They're going to be gone. We've got to ask it now. You're right, but this is what the reporters are saying. It has been an interesting week, hasn't it? And it's been a great couple of shows with Tori Gurley, NFL, CFL alum, and then Tim Hunter, Stanley Cup champion. Man, we've covered a lot of ground with those guys. And then some very interesting things happening off the field. Aaron Rodgers snapping at the reporters. There's a thing with Aaron. I don't know. It's like he can do it, but nobody else can. There's a word for people like that. That's just what I think. Never met the guy. Again, me passing judgment, a sign of an arrow mind. Pat McAfee going after the newspaper reporters, the writers, for being upset at the nice little old lady in Jacksonville, Lynn Jones, who gave the pep talk to the coach, Liam Cohen, after the game. Listen, it's taken me a lot of spins around the sun to understand, wait, kind of with Aaron Rodgers on this one. I'm not going to jump and make it an observation or a statement immediately on all this. Where does it all land? She was just being nice. End of story. Where's your heart in this? I'm a big on intention guy. What was her intention? Just to be encouraging. Where everybody's saying the world needs more of that. And that's why a lot of people are backing her and Pat McAfee. And for these grumpy reporters, you guys got to get with it. Sorry. I've had my battles with them too over the years. Some people just don't want to get with it. Let's do the NHL picks because it's always so darn much fun. I was 5 out of 9. I should spend more time on this than I do, but what the hell? I'm not telling you to run to the betting window with it. Calgary at Columbus tonight. That's a Columbus win. They just fired their coach. That's an easy one. Vancouver at Ottawa. Toilet Bowl brought to you by Mr. Plummer. I think Ottawa. It's bad there from what I hear. Montreal at Washington. I'm a Habs backer. Going with Montreal. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. My God, the Lightning have won 10 in a row. It can't continue, will it? I don't think it does tonight. Pittsburgh for me. An original 6 matchup in Boston. The Red Wings at the Bruins. It's probably the game of the night. I'm going to go with the Wings. Carolina Hurricanes at St. Louis. It's the Canes for me, dog. Winnipeg Jets look for a third consecutive victory as they welcome the New York Islanders. I think they're going to do it. Whoops. Yank my headphones out. You're welcome, Winnipeg. I have picked the Jets to win. The Edmonton Oilers at the Nashville Predators tonight. I think it's time for the Oilers to lose. Predators for me. Toronto Maple Leafs at the Utah Mammoth. Big emotional win for the Leafs last night at Colorado. Will they follow it up in Utah? I don't think so. No, I don't think these are the real Leafs. Mammoth for me. And Dallas at Anaheim. Stars had a big win in L.A. last night. Ducks, I think it's their first game back after a really crappy road trip. It's the Ducks will win there. Those are my picks. What are yours? We'll reconvene here tomorrow and talk about all these games. A lot of fun, by the way, as I mentioned, the hockey chatter with Tim Hunter. It's I did have a chat with the Golden Knights owner, Bill Foley, back in the day. I want to say it was 2015, 16. Whenever. They hadn't played a game yet, but he said that they wanted to have a geographical rivalry with the Arizona Coyotes, Vegas and Arizona. Arizona never held up their end of that bargain. They were never good. I think right now, Vegas and Utah would like to have a rivalry. But can we just get a team back in Arizona and stop talking about it? I don't know. Would you read a book on the whole Coyotes 30-year era there? I would. Be a hell of a lot of work to write that, but it would be a lot of fun to unearth all the stories and all the rest behind the Coyotes. Coming from Winnipeg, leaving for Utah. Were they ever even there? Certainly never won anything. But for those of us that love hockey and history, that is that's a great story. And on this day in 1983, we mentioned it in hour one. I'll mention it here just for the hockey folk fans that are watching. On this day in 1983, Bill Hunter, Wild Bill Hunter, struck a deal with the owners of the St. Louis Blues to buy the team and move them to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, as some call it. And the NHL vetoed it. I want to say it was Bill Ziegler at the time. Closest the NHL ever came to going to Saskatoon, and they're not going now. That was on this day, 1983. Again, for those that love the history of sports. We'll do this tomorrow. To be frank, if I can be frank, I have no idea who the guest will be. That's what I'll work on after this show. But thank you to Tim Hunter today. Thanks to Scruffy, our Skycron production crew. And most of all, thanks for you for tuning in. We'll do it all again tomorrow here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. And, of course, Game Plus TV.
That